Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's Rabbi Stephen here, Rob Shmuel ben Yehoshua. This is Rashbi, and this week's 10-minute Torah. So once again, I know I say this every week, but it's just so wonderful that we have so many people that are participating in our service. People that, of course, are doing the English readings, and it's wonderful that we have people that can do the Hebrew. Thank you to Shane and Ness and Gabby, and that people want to read the Torah, the same three, and we got Isaac coming up, Isaac Kaufman and Trudy and Judy reading a lot of the Haftarot. It's just wonderful that everybody pitches in. So coming up, we have some new holidays coming up, and there are some things we'd like to do. So you'll be hearing more about that as we go on. The next holiday, it's not really a holiday, it's really a day. It's Tu B'Shvat, it's the New Year for trees. Back in the Middle Ages, the Kabbalists put together a little Seder, and we're talking about maybe doing a virtual Tu B'Shvat Seder, maybe doing some songs about trees like Tzaddik Tamar, which talks about the cedars of Lebanon, maybe a few others. If you have any songs about trees you like, let us know. Maybe we'll see if we could do it on a Saturday night the way we did Hanukkah, start with Havdalah, and that's all in the works. Also, on February 7th is the Worldwide Wrap. This is a program sponsored by men's clubs. And again, the details, we're still working that out. But wrap refers to tefillin. It's a commandment to, put it as a sign upon your arm and between your eyes. The rabbis took that literally and developed the tefillin where you wrap, and you wrap with the leather straps around your arm. And then you put the box up here and it fits around your head and the straps kind of come down and you pray. And that's, you do your morning prayers with that, except for Shabbat and festivals when you don't need it because it's already holy. So, a lot of people don't know how to do it. They don't know the story about it. So, that'd be a nice way to introduce people to that. And then again, in about 6-7 weeks, we have Purim coming up, and we'll look to do a virtual Seder there as well. A virtual Seder, a virtual program. There you go. We also, in a few weeks, I'm going to be taking over for the Thursday night adult education. The Grabiners will be away. This will be the 21st. So next Thursday, or this Thursday, actually, is the board meeting. A week from this Thursday, we'll do that. There's some topics that we're looking at, Judaism and astrology, Judaism and women. But I've also got some interest on the third topic, which is Judaism and reincarnation and karma. So tune in. We'll talk a little bit about that, find out how Judaism feels about those particular subjects. If you have a preference, let me know. We'll see what most of the people want to do. But so far, there's a lot of interest in karma and reincarnation. Okay, with that, let's talk about this week's portion, which is Vaera, right? And God says to Moses, and you will see what I will do to Pharaoh. Pharaoh has been stubborn. His heart has been hardened. Now, there's some talk about Pharaoh hardening his heart and then God hardening Pharaoh's heart. Because God says to Moses right out, I will harden Pharaoh's heart. Why? Because according to Kabbalah, you are led on the path that you want to take. If you want the path of righteousness, you're led on that path. If you want the path of evil, you're shown the way. That's the way it is. You give, you receive. There's your first example of karma, right? What you put out, you get back. Pharaoh was a stubborn person. He was a king. He thought himself to be a god. That's why when the plagues come, well, let me stop there for a minute. Let's backtrack a little bit. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But first, what does God say to Moses? He says, I will take them. I will take the Israelites out. In other words, I'm going to live up to my commitment to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I will take them out. I will redeem them. I will take them out of Egypt, and I will make them my people. So I will take them out. I will release them from their burdens. I will redeem them. I will take them out of Egypt. Right? And then I will be their God. I will take them through the Sea of Reeds, and then I will lead them to the promised lands. 4 actions. This is why we drink the 4 cups during the Seder of Passover. Take you out, redeem you, take you out of Egypt. You will be my people. Those 4 things, 4 cups. Okay, so now let's get back to the issue at hand. Pharaoh fancied himself a god. Now, The first plague was blood, and God tells Moses, meet Pharaoh in the morning when he goes out to the river Nile. Now, the Nile was their God, big God, supplied water, supplied fish. Egyptians didn't eat meat because they worshiped animals. But why was Pharaoh at the river? Now, according to Dr. Hertz in the Sonsino, he was there to check the levels because it was very important to agriculture. The Egyptians took the Nile and they built canals and they took the water, etc., etc. Rashi says that Pharaoh was a god, or he thought he was a god, didn't want the people to know he was human, so he went out in the morning to the Nile to relieve himself. Nobody wanted, he didn't want people to think he had to go to the bathroom like a regular human being. Okay. And Moses dips his staff in there, turns the water to blood. Pharaoh went and got his magicians. They were able to do the same thing with water. Where did the water come from? Well, they bought it from the Israelites. They dug some holes. They found water. They had water. And he did the same thing, so of course he didn't believe it. The next plague was frogs, Svardim. Now, I've seen this both ways. They say Rashi interprets it as frogs. I've also seen where Rashi or Sforno, another Bible commentator, interprets the word Spardium as crocodiles. Now, I personally don't buy into the fact that it was crocodiles, because if you had a swarm of crocodiles, that's all that would have been needed. That would have been it. I mean, the frogs were croaking, they were getting into the food, into the water, everywhere, and people couldn't stand it. Crocodiles, I think that would have been one and done, personally, but that's just me. Okay. The third plague was lice, where they beat the sand, and lice or gnats came up, and there was a swarm of gnats. I've been in swarms of gnats. It's not pleasant. It's very uncomfortable, but this was really, it's like it almost blotted out the sun. The next plague was a swarm of wild beasts that just came in, and people were afraid, but they were trampling, the crops and everything. Next plague was cattle disease. So the cattle's got all this disease. They died, and it's not that they ate the cattle. It's just that they used them as work animals, and when they died, they used their hide. Okay. The next plague was boils. People got skin disease, and after that, there was the hail. Big hail came down, and it just wrecked whatever crops were left. Okay. So yes, I've got a cheat sheet over here. I don't want to give you the wrong information. So each and every plague, Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said, let my people go. Pharaoh said no. And whenever they went ahead and did the plague, Pharaoh's magicians were pretty much able to replicate it. So they thought maybe these two were just magicians themselves. But it was really after the first set of three plagues, and they really kind of came in sets of three, that the magicians started to realize there's something else going on here. The hail's coming down, and according to the Art Scroll, which is the Orthodox version, there was fire and there was water. It was a fire of hail. It says that in the Torah text. So it was almost like fire and water coexisted at one time. And this is what really started to surprise the magicians. So it was not just the plagues, it was the actual nature of the plagues. So at first, Pharaoh says, I know not your God, don't come to me with this nonsense. I could have my necromancers, my magicians do the same thing. And after a while, they were starting to see that he couldn't. What really proved, or tried to prove to Pharaoh, and he was starting to come around, or so it seemed, is when Moses said, okay, you're going to relent. We're going to stop it. So tell you what, Pharaoh, just so you know that this is God, the one God, not your little panoply of gods that you have, but this is the one true God that created and sustains the universe, that is commanding you through me to let our people. And notice what he says: commanding you through me, not me. I'm not dictating anything. This is Hashem. Just so you know that this is God. When do you want the plague to stop? Pharaoh's like, okay, make it stop tomorrow. And Moses will say, okay, done. The next day, when Pharaoh said, no more plague. And Pharaoh still was stubborn. The first 5 plagues, as you read through the Torah, you will see that Pharaoh hardened his heart. He hardened his own heart. It is after the fifth plague that God starts hardening Pharaoh's heart. This is what you want. You've proved it 5 times. This is what you're going to get. And to deviate a little bit from the Torah and make it a little bit more relevant in the few seconds we have left, consider this. What you seek is what you get. Okay? If you put out goodness, you will get goodness. Now, it's not a one-to-one relationship. We all know that. We all know, gosh, I was good. I tried. I did this, and still I've had some issues. It's not one-to-one, folks, but things take time to happen. Just like God promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, He'd redeem them, but they didn't live to see it. Moses is living to see it hundreds of years later. Good will happen if you put it out. Okay? Follow the path of righteousness, and you will get righteousness back. Maybe a little bit at a time, or maybe already righteousness, and you're seeing the result of your efforts. Good for you. Okay, so thank you for tuning in. See you at services this week. Any questions, comments? Contact me by my website, Facebook, email, text. Enjoy talking to you, and thanks again. Shabbat shalom.